Hey Drac, what day is it?
It's Friday.
Not anymore.
It's Friday night.
Nah, not anymore.
Hey guys, this is Drac, and today we're gonna do a top 5 Friday. Sometimes they happen on Saturdays because reasons. Today we're gonna talk about the top 5 Zombie Strike blasters that ever came out. So Zombie Strike blasters have had a really good run recently. At first they were kind of like a gimmick. You guys remember when The Walking Dead used to be good? Me either, but it used to be a really good show and it was really popular. The zombie culture was huge, we had a lot of stuff, it was just like really, really good right around when Hasbro decided they would pick zombies as one of their lines to kind of capitalize on. So the dev team went to work putting together things that would be zombie themed. Now, there's a rumor going around that has absolutely no basis. That originally it might have been a Western themed line that was adapted into a zombie line, which is why we have certain things like mare's leg rifles and revolvers and whatnot. But pay that no mind. It's obviously a zombie style post-apocalyptic line and was always that way. So we'll start with our honorable mentions. In the true theme of repurposing nonsense into other stuff, we have the Brain Saw and the Crosscut. Neither one of these are particularly good blasters, guys. This is a worse rough cut, and this is a just really bad version of the Double Strike with a slightly different prime. So, the reason they're honorable mentions is they both do something kind of quirky, kind of cool. They both have this secondary trigger down here, which allows you to get some sweet buzzsaw action going on. And that's pretty neat. It's definitely different. It adds a fun foam roleplay element. My Brain Saw doesn't see a lot of play here. Somehow this one survived holiday donations, but I keep the Crosscut around in case Aaron Esser ever needs me to carve up some undead up there in Canada land. Anyway, that's our honorable mentions are the Brain Saw and the Crosscut. Let's move right on into number 5. So, coming in at number 5, we have a Derringer style Hammer Prime blaster, one-hand wieldable double strike. This is a sweet blaster. It's sweet for a few reasons. One, it's incredibly inexpensive. These have never sold for more than $10. And two, it's actually pretty cool. I know that a lot of HVZ players love to lock these onto chest rigs in the fully primed position, but they're pretty good sidearms. You get not one, but 2 shots out of them in one-hand wieldable action, and they deliver the hits. They hit pretty hard, very similar to the revolver-esque components using similar parts, but they're a ton of fun, and they work pretty well. Their narrow profile makes it very easy to fit, like I said, into holsters, in chest rigs really, but they also make excellent pocket blasters. They fit into jeans and all sorts of different pouches and bandoliers very, very easily. They actually will also fit into clip holders in the Nerf style bandolier. I like these guys a lot. Maybe it's just my affinity for Hammer Prime blasters, but they also mod up really nice and you get some very weird, totally not Wild West style blasters, but this is like an SAA build out of one and it's got just a ton of cowboy flavor. It's really, really cool. You can reduce them down to being a single shot. This of course only fires one via ramrod now, but just a lot of fun, a lot of potential in this shell. It looks good, and it was doing something very unique, which was the one-hand wieldable, multiple shot hammer priming style. I would love to see a single style, one-shot blaster of this variety. All one-shot blasters seem to be reduced to the pullback mechanism a la Nightfinder, but I think that it would be really, really cool to have an even smaller version of the Hammer Prime. Let's move on to number 4, which is something that Zombie Strike has done that no other line has done at all. It's very cool. What do you know about the OG 3-round burst? So before you had burst modules, you had break action modules. Just kidding. Like, it was a 3-round burst. It was an excellent 3-round burst, but they came all at once instead of out of a rapid strike. They came in the form of these funky shells. They were spring-loaded to eject, so similar to like all the things that made Buzzbee shells gimmicky, this just did it right. It was a ton of fun. They're proprietary exclusively to the Sledgefire, but the Sledgefire became this really sweet break action shotgun. As opposed to the barrel break, which you would just feed darts into, this had the shells and storage for them in the stock. It came with 3 for the price of, I believe, around $30, and for that $30 you got something that served as an awesome, like, kind of backup, covering fire sort of blaster with its burst module, with its burst fire, and No sooner had it been out for about a year than people started singling it. So as I've mentioned on the channel before, anything that fires either really large projectiles or multiple small projectiles when singled or microed or whatever you want to call it down into a singular projectile does an excellent job. So you could effectively make, as goofy as it is, a sledge fire sniper rifle by taking a module like this and singling it into something very, very powerful. Those slugs are those slug fire shells are from Laser Gnomes, and they do excellent work in that arena, by the way. But this was a really sweet blaster that fit that kind of like high-powered Springer style of action that we really just hadn't had in the hobby for a while. And so it was nice to have something with a ton of power, a reasonably large plunger tube, and it came with a gimmick. That was pretty awesome. So it filled a very niche role, and nothing else has used these shells or done anything quite like this. The Rough Cut is probably the best Nerf shotgun, but this is definitely the most fun Nerf shotgun around. There's something about reloading the shells and just flipping them out, and the constant break action, which is spring-loaded, by the way. It was just an absolute ton of fun. So the Sledge Fire is our number 4 blaster. It's uniquely Zombie Strike and very cool. You know who would really like number 3? I bet it's the Governator. Indeed, Arnold would be stoked to sling a sling fire. This thing has all the gimmicky Wild West action that I've come to love from this line. It's got an awesome stock with wood grain. It's actually quite comfortable, and it's the only thing that works on this system. Again, it's like a full swing out, swing back, mare leg style primary, and it uses all of the awesome elite internals that everything else does. So you can slap all of the fine upgrade springs that we've been putting into EATs, Retaliators, and Rampages for years into the Sling Fire, which gives you a unique priming system, a very wonky kind of shotgun style trigger and handle system, and an interesting foregrip and front profile here. It's just a really unique blaster, and that's what makes it so cool. But it's a unique blaster with incredible performance that does some very unique stuff and lets you just get really cool with your priming tricks and gimmicks. It's just a lot of fun and delivers the hits. It's got a jam door, no way of attaching a barrel attachment to it, which is fine, and it takes N-Strike magazines. So it does everything the N-Strike platform is really good at, including rail compatibility, but it's Zombie Strike flavored and just super duper unique in a lot of different ways. I've always wanted to like hang out of the side of like a go-kart and operate a sling fire at a Nerf board. That sounds like incredibly unsafe for a lot of different reasons, but it's a Firefly dream of mine. I think that it would be a ton of fun. So the Sling Fire was not particularly expensive, but delivered the hits and did so in a very special fashion, and that's what earns it our number 3 spot. But as soon as we get to number 2, we've got to like go way, way back in time. Number 2 on our list of best Zombie Strike blasters of all time is the Longshot. Debuting in 2006, that's not a Zombie Strike blaster. Zombie Strike wasn't even out in 2006. Correct on both counts. This is a 2006 OG Longshot. OG stands for Original Gangster, not Omega Gangster. Don't get them confused. But it originally came with a scope, the extendable stock, and the funky fresh front gun attachment, which modders always had a fun idea of replacing the bipod with. Speaking of, keep in mind, this had a deployable bipod. And you're gonna need to remember that because, like a dream, it was gone. No more bipod, but the blaster is now in a funky fresh teal with orange striping, and it's back. The keyword is back. Now with the Zombie Strike logo on both sides, the Longshot is back on the shelves for sale for the low, low price of $30 United States dollars. It's actually roughly what it cost originally, more or less, but it comes with none of the funky fresh extras. No front gun, no bipod, still comes with a scope though, which is quite nice, but it's back. And I feel like I need to emphasize like the significance of that. You see, Longshots used to sell for 40, 50, 60 United States dollars on the secondary market. That's your eBay, your Craigslist, your war meetups, etc. And that's because they're really, really good blasters. They have massive plunger tubes, they have the ability to be brass breached, and the sheer size of them and comfort of their ergonomics means that there was a ton of room to integrate stuff into this entire front area. People flat topped them, people replaced the stocks, etc., etc., and so forth. And so they became very, very popular within the hobby to the degree that the prices went up and the demand also went up. So when we got this re-release for the Zombie Strike line, it kind of felt like a gift from up above. Like Hasbro heard that we wanted to make sweet things and that they would give us more shells to make sweet things with. So overnight, the prices crashed and people who wanted to make things, the best kind of people, finally got to do so again at reasonable prices. You can pick these things up for like $12, $15 on sale. You can find them at thrift stores again because they're finally ultra cheap due to the just massive influx of them in the Zombie Strike line. So while this isn't originally a Zombie Strike blaster, it's so significant to the hobby, being King Springer for so long and being so effective not only for Humans vs. Zombies players, but also for companies that make aftermarket parts, a la Explorer, a la Orange Mod Works, and for the NIC as well, with famous things like the Angel Breach, Power Stocks, etc. Like, we just have a ton of really cool stuff that's all built around this one blaster that just served as one shell to rule them all for a very long time. So while it wasn't innovative or special or different, and a lot of people complained that there were no upgrades, this was still in-strike performance. That's wimpy in-strike performance out of a blaster that you bought off the shelf. So next to a Rampage, this seems ridiculous, and yet people would still want them for the incredible potential inside. So we were just thrilled to have it back. It may not be like on your top 5 Zombie Strike blasters list, but for me, the contributions of just having our bolt action hero back were immeasurable and innumerable, and I'm stoked that I can go to Target and pick one of these up right now if I want one. So the Zombie Strike line gave us back the long shot, and it also gave us the greatest sidearm of all time. I really like hammer shots. That's right, no teasing, no pomp, no circumstance. This is the #1 Zombie Strike blaster of all time, because no other Zombie Strike blaster is wound up on more battlefields in more places than the hammer shot itself. The hammer shot is a favorite of HVZ players who tend to live and have accepted that the hammer shot is just strictly better than the strong arm, or I guess Disruptor now. I mean, they haven't replaced the hammer shot yet, so anyway, the hammer shot is excellent. It comes with a variety of different flavors. You can get it in Rebel if you so choose. It comes in Rebel mode, a la Sweet Revenge and 5x5. It comes in a variety of different colors in terms of carbon fiber. It leather wraps very nicely, and even stock, it gets significant elite style pistol performance that can't be argued with. It's an excellent 5-shot blaster. We have aftermarket cylinders, giving it up to 8 shots, or 7 if you're not insane. But there are 8-shot cylinders for Nerf darts that you can fire out of just a regular stock hammer shot, or one modified with up to 12 kilograms of power inside. The hammer shot is just a really sweet sidearm. If you've noticed, I only used one hand to work it this entire time. And that's right, quick hits and neat tricks. This is the Argonaut. It's my personal companion on most battlefields, and it's an absolute ton of fun. It's got a customizable feature that I haven't gotten to talk about yet, which is the German Metal Hammer Kit. This and the trigger combined in a very efficient sear allows you to do something pretty special. When you have a super grippy leather purchase on the blaster, you can fan fire as quick as you want to. It's very cool. I absolutely love that feature. It's what makes the Argonaut such an efficient HVZ sidearm. So maybe your trusty Springer primary runs out of ammo as you're just mowing down the undead. No big deal. It's right there. The first one's done, and the second one's done just as fast. It's really cool. Fanfire is super effective for HVZ, and I never see anybody else taking advantage of it. Even people with this kit. Can you believe that? Crazy. All you have to do is kind of work out the timing between the sear and your cylinder, and then you're golden. Anyway, that's the list. Zombie Strike has given a lot to the hobby, between shotguns that actually are really cool thematically and functionally, between things that prime in a very unique way and deliver full elite primary style performance, and a sidearm that single-handedly changed the way pistol rounds are run, and that you can carry 2 of them pretty easily now. But thank you very much for watching. I recognize that your list might be different, and I have some pretty good ideas for next week's Top 5 Friday. I think you're going to enjoy that one very much as well. But I really wanted to get Zombie Strike out of the way because it prevents me from having to make a Top 5 revolvers video. Unless you really want another video where I just talk about how awesome the hammer shot is. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Much love, Nerf on, Drac out. See you dorks in the comments section. Nerf on.